Today on Between the Lines, a look at the groundbreaking video game Destiny with Pete Parsons, the Chief Operating Officer of Bungie, the makers of the game. Welcome, I'm Barry Kibrick. Pete led a 350-person team to create an experience which is averaging over 3 million online players a day. Activision, the publisher of Destiny, believes it will be an ongoing operation for at least a decade. We'll examine the underpinning philosophies of this gaming sensation and how, in its own way, it resembles the struggles we all face in business and in life.
I'm a writer today because I was a reader when I was 11 years old, and it was...
You do not need to prove your state of happiness to anybody.
Most of these speeches were as much as a month in preparation.
Characters, the heroes in this book, are seekers of truth in a story that involves a lot of corruption.
You don't get a chance to really talk about what's real, and it's the perfect to do.
Pete, welcome to Between the Lines. It is a pleasure to have you here. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Barry, thank you very much. It's really awesome to be here. It's a true moment for me.
Well, I wanted to start with a combination of your business philosophy and how I feel that from my son playing the game and I watching him play through this whole thing, how there seems to be a tremendous amount of parallels between the concepts that you as the COO of Bungie and the concept of Destiny. For instance, you talk about your company as being one built around communication and community, and the game Destiny is built around the exact same thing. It is built around communicating with other players, developing this community, all going for this vision.
Yeah, I think that's a very good observation. In many ways, Destiny really is the extension of who we are as a team. We all have a shared vision at Bungie about what the Destiny universe was going to be like. And that shared universe is not only like what are the games that we would want to play, but what are the games we think our community would want to play? What are the kinds of communication we have? And even the kind of world we want to build. You know, we think about Destiny as a place you just want to visit, a place that's worth spending time in. And even when you look inside of our workplace and how we try to take care of our team, that's the first thing we do, is create a place that people would want to be.
Well, not only want to be, but according to everything I've read, it's where you can share ideas without any negative ramifications. And again, I go back to Destiny, and it's also when the players are playing with each other, it's sharing their ideas on how best to achieve, again, the goal. So you see that?
No, I like that. That's a very that's a great way of saying it. And one of the things that we hear from our team members that join, whether you're a veteran or whether you've just started at Bungie, is that their ideas matter, that they make a difference, and that people are listening to them, and they feel like they are part of that process. We couldn't get there without them, and I'd like to think that when you're part of a fire team and you're in a heroic strike, that you're not going to make it all the way to the end unless you rely on the work of your fire team.
You're also not afraid of questioning. You're always questioning yourself. Yeah. You're always questioning your role at Bungie. You're always questioning Bungie, and you're always questioning the game. Is everything, and in fact, according to my son, changes are made almost constantly to correct, to adjust, to make it more difficult, to make it easier, to balance it. It's this ability to continuously question.
Yeah, and it is hard to imagine a more highly critical place, or critical of ourselves at Bungie. But what's really exciting, at least for us, about Destiny is we set out from the beginning to create a place that you visit, not just a DVD that you put in your drive. And so what that allows us to do is to continue to change it.
I want to get into the game itself and especially the philosophy, but I have two more things that again relate with the business I want to cover first, because again, I think the relationship is so symbiotic, it's almost a part of the conversation. And I'm going to again quote you, because I think this is something that so many people can't seem to juggle in their own lives. So that's why I think this is even outside of the game, outside of the company, an important concept I want to get across. Your words I'll use. I wake up and I can't wait to come to work every morning because it's inspiring. but it's also terrifying. So maybe that's the right balance, terrifying and inspiring. I, for one, feel that is the only balance you should have when you go to work. It seems just too perfect, because if you don't have that little edge that you could be a little terrified, but yet you want to have that deep gratification that you're inspired.
I walk in the building every day, and the level of talent and commitment and passion and curiosity, maybe that's the thing that is just so inspiring to see. And yet you know that there's not always a right decision to make, that we're making something that at the end of the day is entertainment. I mean, hopefully it moves beyond entertainment and is really meaningful for people. But yeah, that's a scary place to be.
Oh, I can tell you, as my son and his friends have been playing it, it does. It stimulates the mind. That's the one thing I want to get across, and I did so with Neil Druckmann when I had him on with The Last of Us, is two things. The art and craft that I feel is so downplayed by so much of the community that's not part of the gaming community, and also the amazing intellectual learning that must be used and the critical thinking that must be used to play so many of these games. It's mind-boggling when I was watching my own kids do it, and then I realized I have one son, in fact, who's as an educator specializing in gamification, because he himself was able to see this pattern between the player's involvement and the game.
Yeah, it's amazing when you watch, whether it's a game like Destiny or The Last of Us, to see that engagement. That people they're not just watching a piece of entertainment, they're experiencing it for themselves. And I think that's really amazing. I started in games. I was very fortunate in the late 90s, and I remember being questioned back then. It was about the convergence of Hollywood and games. And I always thought, well, it's not a convergence. I mean, games are emerging in their own right as a true entertainment medium. And over the years, we were super fortunate with Halo and now Destiny to see people come up to us, and those experiences they've had with the games that we've made, they think about them in the same way they think about the best movies or the best books or the best forms of entertainment they've ever had. And that's really humbling.
And you know something? It sticks with you a little deeper because you're so interactive with it. So I found when I was watching both games being played, I almost got a deeper relationship than I do if I read something or even watch a film, because you're actively participating
That's
in
right.
it.
Yeah, I mean, so you think about the choices we make at work or the choices you make playing the game. There's not always a right decision to make. Am I gonna choose this class, or am I gonna choose this? Is this the right weapon for me to take, or how should we build out our fire team and make sure we can accomplish some objective? And at work, it's the same way. Like you're creating art and you're creating experiences for people, and there aren't always a right decision to make. And so what you do is you make a whole bunch of those decisions, and some of them work and some of them don't, and some of those you just leave on the cutting room floor because there wasn't time to get there.
Let's really get into the game now, because it made, you have a special relationship with PlayStation 4 that released a very special package, but it is a game for all formats.
Yes. Or
at least most of all formats that I'm aware of.
All four consoles right now, with the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One.
So let's do, though, as if I do this with literature sometimes, give us a little setup of what the type of game it is, because when my son explained to me, Dad, what you're going to really find fascinating is this game literally mixes many modes of gaming. It's not just this, it's not just that, it's do you want? I'll be happy to, because I watched it, but I'm going to let you, Pete, give us just the little TV guide ad, if you would say, about what the game is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the short version of it is the story is that humanity has suffered a great loss centuries prior. That this large globe known as the Traveler has settled down above the Earth, silent and immobile, and beneath it, humanity's built the last safe city on Earth. And we're on a rise. This is a hopeful game where we're here to take our solar system back.
There was a time when we were much more powerful. But that was long ago. Until it wakes and finds its voice, I am the one who speaks for the traveler. You must have no end of questions, Guardian. In its dying breath, the traveler created the ghosts to seek out those who can wield its light as a weapon. Guardians to protect us and do what the traveler itself no longer can.
And you play a Guardian, and so what we try to do is we try to give you that great visceral, physical simulation of running around and shooting aliens, and combine it with investment that you are ever changing and ever evolving as a character. You're always looking to increase your power or to increase your social groups or get a better weapon. And so we've taken a number of things that I think people like to do, the investment that people have enjoyed in games like World of Warcraft, the physical simulation of games that we've created like Halo, and bring them together in a way that people feel like, wow, I'm not playing some other character, I'm playing me.
What can I do?
You must push back the darkness. Guardians are fighting on Earth and beyond. Join them. Your ghost will guide you. I only hope he chose wisely.
I did. I'm sure of it. We're in this together now.
You and the team were so concerned with the social center of the game. That was as important as anything, was how to make this social.
Absolutely, yeah. What we've been able to do is take that social experience that's typically been outside the game, been a really cool offshoot of the game. And what we said with Destiny is we want to move it to the center. We want that socialization and being part of something big to be at the core of what we do.
Well, I didn't even realize this until my son said, "Dad, I can't go over this with you now. I have to be at a raid." And I says, "Well, you don't have to be at a raid now." He goes, "No, you do, because on Fridays," so the game is actually tied into real time. By that I mean, on a certain day at a certain time, something's going to happen.
Well, we even have, there are events that show up only at specific times. There's even a very shadowy character called Zur who shows up in mysterious parts of the tower every Friday, and people go looking for him every weekend. And then on Sunday, he's gone. And so the idea of creating a world that's changing and continuing to progress is really important for us.
In fact, the further you go, the more intense it gets, the more deeper the learning experience becomes. Again, that's, for gamers in particular, extremely rewarding. For someone like me, it may drive me crazy, but I understand that the gamers love that. They love to find out the little mysteries. They love to peer into the game even deeper than I think you're prepared for them to peer into it sometimes.
Well, sometimes that's true because but it's exciting to see, when people are making up their own stories or their own art about the universe, that you've really touched a nerve in some way. And so we think about, we want people to be able to come and play Destiny even if they've never played a shooter before and have a fun time. But at the other end of the spectrum, to be able to take those players who are super invested in the world and be able to give them lots of great stuff, whether it's endgame or even whether it's myth or legend or folklore about our universe, we want to be able to provide them with that experience as well, so they can become a part of the universe.
All right, now here's where I spent all my time. I spent all of it going through the underpinning philosophy as my son's blowing up everything. No, but I want to go through my take on these things and get your take on my take.
Sure.
The name itself, Destiny. I mean, it's the inner purpose of a life that can be discovered and realized. Were you thinking that deep when you came about this?
Well, it started off as a code name originally, and it had a lot to do with, I think, with who we are as a company. We were owned by Microsoft, and we became independent again in 2007, and finally put the Halo universe behind us in 2010. And so what we were working on, we thought, was not only Destiny is in you and the player, or you and humanity taking back our solar system, getting a second chance, but for us as a studio, like what does that mean? It really is our destiny. It's the thing that we're staking a claim on as a newly independent company. And
in both cases, it's the human element that creates the most important moments of both the company and the game. It's the human element. It's not, the game is not leading you as much as you are in charge of the game.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, which is really different and really challenging to really any game we've ever made before, where we're going to tell you a fixed story, and that story is never going to change, and you're going to invest yourself in those characters. In Destiny, so much of the game is about the story that you're going to create, or the story that you and your friends are going to create together. That's a big deal for us.
Light. Yes. Light in itself is a physical and a philosophical manifestation, and it plays a role in the game itself. As you progress, it is your light stats.
Yeah, that's right.
And that again has so many double and triple entendres to it.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, maybe like the workplace we set out is we created a world in Destiny that we wanted to be hopeful, that you looked at it and you felt like it was a beautiful place to be, and that ultimately that part of, I think it's on the box, but part of becoming legend was building up the light and helping to restore the Traveler and helping to restore our place in the solar system, in the universe, and maybe there's something there about what we want to do as a studio.
We've always known the darkness would return. To finish what it started. To take our home. That's why I've been looking for you for centuries. There are only a few of you who carry the light of the Traveler, who have the strength to fight the darkness. I'm not going to lie to you, Guardian. You are Earth's last hope.
I got involved in what's called the Grimoire.
Good.
And I don't know what else to call it. It's not the instructions on how to play the game. I would say it's almost more like an NFL handbook playbook. It sort of like tells you the different things, the positions, the different, but within it, there was a lot of philosophy, and I want to go over some of that with you right now. One was where it starts, as I mentioned, with light, because there's a radiance as a character. Open yourself to light, glimpse a few rapturous moments, the truth beyond the powers you yield, and also there is a light from which no darkness can hide.
Yes. We think a lot about, we spent years making this game, and when you think making this game, it's not just about what are the designs and what are the technologies, but what are the myths and legends that sit behind this universe, and what is mankind's purpose, and why did the Traveler rush across space and time to find us, and what was the reason for that? And ultimately, maybe that's about a part of becoming ultimately who we want to be.
Well, you have a character called Human.
Yep.
And here is his line in the Grimoire, where you can read it. No matter what the darkness brings, we will be here at the dawn. He also adds, strive for honor, stand for hope. Hope, in fact, I'll go one step further. Paul McCartney wrote the closing song, and I guess the game never really ends, but it ends at a certain point, and then you go on further, and it's also about hope. So hope had to be the underpinning major philosophy involved in this game.
It doesn't matter who you were, only what you will become.
Hope is a big deal for us, creating a world that, sure, humanity may have seen a catastrophic time, but we like hopeful things. You know, we wanted it to be a bright, beautiful place where maybe there's scary stuff to go in, but I think we all like hope. It gives us, it's a reason to come in every day. Like working with the people that we get to work, that I get to work with is amazing. Becoming, you know, part of a guardian or part of this bigger effort inside of the Destiny world, I think if you're going to invest in something over a long period of time, if it's dark and dangerous and ultimately depressing, it's just not a place as a studio that we want to be. We want to build a hopeful place, whether it's in our game world or whether it's us as a team and our future as a business.
Well, even the weapons themselves have philosophies. And the first one I saw was this one, and I thought it was kind of funny to see, but belief and hope is a weapon itself.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's been really fun to not only tell a story as it relates to a narrative story, but whether it's through the grimoire and through the stories that these weapons or armor have in and amongst themselves, it's been fun to tell that larger tale of humanity and ultimately what we're going to do to take back our solar system, our second chance.
And speaking of that, another weapon has this line in it: "The wise man knows his fate, the fool merely finds it."
That's right. I love that.
Yeah, so do I. That's why I wrote. That's why I wrote it down. I didn't write it. That's in your game, but it's.
Well, and I think what's interesting for us is, you know, we created, you know, for us, you know, we created more fiction for the Destiny universe than any game we've ever created. We created probably twice as much concept art of all of our Halo games combined. Really building out and understanding this hopeful, beautiful world that we were going to be in and what we were going to do with it was so important to us in crafting this universe.
Well, you know, to bring that home, you even say, if one man could stand against the night, then so could everyone. And that's another message that comes in here that also incorporates the individual's competitiveness with the importance of the community's involvement. Because without those two separate things joining together, A, you can't play the game, and B, you can't really play the game of life.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I mean, and if we can bring people together in our world and have them engage in ways that mean something to them, then ultimately we've been successful. It's exciting to me to see people tell us all the time, like, I've never played a game with, I'm a lone wolf, I don't like to play with other people, or I've never played a game that's online, and to see them actually starting to have an experience with other people and having stories to tell that weren't just about what they did in this world that was devoid of other players, they became a part of something. It's really rewarding to see. I know it's really rewarding for the team to see.
Well, I love this line that you have in there. You said, we found a new way to weaponize curiosity. Because curiosity, and I did a show with NASA, and innovation, those are the two things that will save our human species, will save our world, combining curiosity and innovation.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. It's one of the things that when I walk into our studio every day, maybe it's, if there's, besides the fact that people are just so bright and so talented, it is that core curiosity that people have to, why does it work like this? Why you know, how can we do it? How can we do it better? Why didn't people like, you know, the one thing that we thought they would love, and why did they love something that we thought wasn't that interesting? I love coming in and asking why every day.
Well, I think the answer is this, as your grimoire says: hope will be born from the collective triumphs of the King in us all.
Yes, both as our team and certainly in the game, and you can see that played out in something like the raid, where 6 people need to come together and plan their time for when they're going to go in, and if they don't all work together, they won't succeed. And we've tried to build that in all throughout our universe in ways that maybe aren't even that obvious to players, about how we can pull people together to have a meaningful experience together.
Well, I think that's what makes it all worthwhile, Pete, and I'm going to end with your words. The world is a place worthy of heroes. Thank you, Pete, and your team for creating such a world.
Well, thank you so much. We're having, I wake up every morning and I can't wait to be a part of that world, and so it's been a really awesome and amazing journey.
Well, thank you, sir, and thank you guys for joining us. Now, before Pete leaves, I'd like to leave you with these words from Paul McCartney's song at the end of Destiny. Hope shines brightest in the dark where nothing's ever seen, lighting undiscovered places no one's ever been. I'm Barry Kibrick. Look closely between the light and the dark, and there you will find the hope. Thank you so much, Pete.
Thank you, Barry.
My pleasure.
Closed captioning is made possible by MavenLink, business without boundaries, leveling the playing field for service businesses with enterprise-grade growth management software, and the expertise to empower companies worldwide to work faster and smarter. Learn more at mavenlink.com. To connect with Barry, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Barry Kibrick. And to contact Barry directly, watch past episodes of Between the Lines, and read his blog, visit us at barrykibrick.com.